Hello everyone! Today I will be giving a very important feeding for many types of flowers that we grow. And this feeding will ultimately allow us to get a well-developed plant in terms of its leaf and stem system, and then later on abundant flowering. Let's first take a look and then get straight to the feeding. We will be feeding pelargonium. Pelargonium is growing in seedling cups. Next we will feed the large flowered marigolds. Look, here's the problem. The problem is that the above ground part of the plant is still not developed enough, but you can already see a bud forming in the center from which a very large inflorescence will later appear. Friends, if you take a closer look, look down here. The root system. It has already appeared. It appeared in a seedling cup with a volume of about 300 milliliters, 250 to 300 milliliters. We didn't measure it exactly, to be honest. The whole thing is already filled with roots, and the above ground part is quite well developed, but the above ground part is still not developed enough, and yet a bud is already forming. Let's look at other flowers that we will also feed today. Verbena. You see little yellow heart. This chlorosis begins due to increased humidity in the seedling cup. We grow everything in identical glasses. The same soil is used for all flowers, without any, so to speak, preferences for one crop or another. We will also feed the salvia. It is already well developed and needs a boost. The temperature right now in the morning was 21 degrees coming out of the night, but the thermometer might not be accurate. It's about 20 degrees and we will feed them. Also, the viola's leaf system is already quite developed, so feeding it won't hurt either. Now, when the plants are at such a stage of development, under no circumstances should they be allowed to begin producing buds. Why? Because if flowers appear, it's better to pinch them off. If flowers appear during this phase of plant development, it is better to pinch them off and fertilize them to promote the development of the above ground part. Why? Because if buds appear and begin to open, the plant will sit down and the bush will eventually be underdeveloped. It will be very small because the flowers are actually very strongly seated. The general development of the plant, both the underground and above ground parts. What is the best way to fertilize? So, for the flowers I showed you, they now need further development of the root system, even though it's already quite well developed, as well as the above ground part. That means they need nitrogen, phosphorus, and in fact potassium as well. That's why I'm going to use the most universal fertilizer there is with this kind of formula. Friends, I have Master, but you can use absolutely any water-soluble fertilizer. The brand name doesn't matter. The main thing is that the formula is approximately the same. It doesn't have to be 20-20. Even nitro amorphosca 16-16 will do. Here are some electronic scales like these. With these we can never go wrong when measuring out any kind of preparation. So we've zeroed it out and now it's 20 grams per 10 liters. We're preparing the fertilizer. Right now we have 13.5, so let's add a little more. Well, you could do 2 feedings of 10 grams each, meaning you use a bit less, but do it twice in a row. That way we definitely won't exceed the maximum allowable salt concentration. So 20 grams, and all of this goes into 10 liters of water. Mix thoroughly. Even though this is a soluble fertilizer, basically there are never any problems with it dissolving in water. But to ensure the fertilizer is evenly distributed in the prepared solution, of course you need to mix it all thoroughly. Preparing the right solution for feeding took less than a minute. Friends, honestly, if you have everything at hand and everything is prepared in advance, then growing plants is really no trouble at all. You can watch a video where I talk about which fertilizers we'll need for growing all our plants, vegetables and flowers. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend you do. Why? Because the growing season is just beginning, so anything is possible. You might find it useful and enjoyable too. And now, friends, the main thing is to apply the right amount of fertilizer correctly. How do we determine the amount of solution, whether it's plain watering or a fertilizer solution? It depends on the size of the plants. The larger the plant, the more moisture you can pour into the seedling cup. Take a look here, a well-developed pelargonium, a well-developed tagatis. For a cup like this, you can literally use about 50 milliliters. That's the amount you can use for a cup like this. It's not dangerous to water with fertilizer at this rate. There won't be any root burn because the plant's leaf system is already large enough. and it will easily handle any excess moisture with its root system and evaporate it all through the leaves, so we won't cause root rot by watering this way. It's a different story when the plant is still quite small. Here you should use just about 20 milliliters. You absolutely shouldn't pour too much water here, because you might significantly overwater your precious plants, and then, unfortunately, it will take them a very long and arduous amount of time to fully recover from such an excessive watering. In about a week, everything will become clear, and depending on how the plants look after a week, we'll decide on the next steps for growing them. Friends, I also want to say that after fertilizing, all the care conditions, everything necessary for growing, such as lighting, temperature and moisture control, should be maintained as before. And in the next videos, of course, we'll continue to grow our flowers and vegetables together with you right before your eyes. So join us and stay with us. I wish you all the very best. Goodbye.